All right, welcome back. I had to leave Annie. Baba reviews why he chose Natasha. Well, in so many words, there's so many things that we have to talk about here. All right, so many things that we need to talk about. Baba was on a platform called what do they call it? They call it the 234 Mazi podcast. That's the podcast where what's his name is right now? What's his name, Jerry? This guy right here, Nedu Azobia, Nedu that used to be on Honest Bunch podcast. He's now on a new podcast called 234 Mazi. It's a Nigerian South African podcast. So they are on their 5th episode or so. So I'll definitely be paying attention to them. I subscribed. So there's a couple of things that Two-Face said here that I thought might be of interest to you guys. The Mom of Five, I think you're going live at 2 or something like that, right? You're going live at 2. I will try to stop by at 2. This thing that you said is what made me remember. Two-Face, Baba with his men Bible. Yes. So I will join you. I'll try to join you today. All right. So by the way, I always watch your replays. All right. So let's talk about Baba. Two-Face a little while back, maybe less than a year, announced to the whole world that him and his wife are no longer together, that they've been separated, and they are in fact going through a divorce. Shortly thereafter, you saw the likes of Tokema Kinwa came out and said, no, you will never do that to her. And then before we know it, they said she's in rehab, and then she came out, tried to form Maya Doche, but it's a struggle. Anyway, she's since come out and she's doing some endorsement. Shout out to Annie, But Baba has since been shown in multiple different ways. He wants to live free. He said he wants to be free. That's one thing I'm getting out of Two-Face. He's like, once something is over, it's over. Baba is how old is Baba? He should be about 50 years old or so. Baba and Two-Face is the same person, by the way. He's 49 years old. In September, he'll be 50 years old. So Baba, he barely has any kind of gray hair on his body, on his face. So what that tells me, just that with many other things that look at his demeanor, his aura, the way he carries himself. I don't think that guy wants to be bothered. Okay, I don't think he wants to be bothered. Okay, so he might allow you to bother him for maybe about 12 years when the average marriage is lasting 8 years. I think 12 years is a stretch, don't you think? Considering his personality and what we can see about him, considering his history, which by the way is history, he said it on this podcast, his history, most of this history that people are pulling up are basically things from some years back. So one of the major questions today that we're going to get answered today, so we're going to have fun, but let's consider it interactive coaching session. Okay, we're going to have fun. One of the questions I want to hear from you guys answer today: at some point all men will cheat, true or false? We're going to run those polls today and see where we get to, right? Cheating can be a mistake, true or false? We're also going to run that poll and see where you guys are on that, right? Once a cheater, always a cheater, true or false? We're also going to run that today, okay? And can you forgive a cheating partner? I want to know what your answer is today as well. Those are some of the questions we must get answered today. It's possible to trust again after cheating, true or false? That'll be the last one, okay? So I'm going to play this first clip and then we'll take it from there. Listening.
It happens.
You can't question it.
But
that
aspect is it happens.
You can't question it.
But all in all, there's no hate.
But I'm going to ask you one quick question.
I see a bunch of calls already.
Question. When it comes to relationships, when it comes to women, when it comes to marriage, I'm going to call you're my guy.
Yeah.
And I love you so much.
Yeah.
But are you okay?
Yeah, I mean, I've I've been with beautiful people, man. Wonderful, amazing people. But times and circumstances change sometimes.
Okay.
Some things outgrow some things. But for me, like I said earlier, there's no hate, there's no animosity. They just be saying, some kind of things, no just.
I love.
All right. If you ever find yourself in this, remember we just addressed Stella and Daniel, right? This is how you answer that. Okay. So kudos to him for that. This is how you answer that question, especially on a podcast and you still have market to sell. You have a brand to sell. You have to show up on podcasts. People who want to leverage their friendship, whatever reason why it's on this podcast, you have something to sell. The idea in 2025, you cannot shy away from questions about your personal life, especially if you try to shy away from it and say it's not your business, you are manipulative. That's all that tells us. But if you can't figure out how to say, you know what, no animosity, just some people outgrow each other, then you have deeper issues. Now, if this was back in the days of some of our older guys, they don't believe in what I just said. But we're in a different era, in a different disposition. This is how it has to work right now. But a lot of people don't get that yet. So kudos to him for that answer.
They
Can I
walk
just-
together again.
I
but
love.
for me,
I just want to say this, and I want.
Thank you,
I
Ashabi.
love the question that you're asking, Nedi.
yeah.
Thank you. Kakake
It's
Kuma
rare,
Jesse
and
say.
I've had this conversation so many times with my husband
I'm happy
and
shower
other
down on me.
men, right? And they
Other men. And you're married.
My husband,
I'm
other
saying
men.
about you. This is why I like.
About other men. All right, so let's move on to the next segment here. All right, listen to this.
The only people that are really, really of concern to me, the only people that are really, really my kids. And for me, they are the only people that I owe any explanation or that I owe anything. That I owe anything to, as a matter of fact. They're the only people. Because
All right, so let me ask you guys a question. He said the only people that he owes explanation to about anything that anybody has to say about, they're talking about the divorce, the marriage, is his kids. Do you agree with that or not? Okay, I don't think they finalized the divorce yet, but he's saying right now the only thing I want to agree with is that I'm owing any explanation to is my kids, and that's it, and no more, no less. What do you think about that? Do you agree with that, or you feel some type of way about that? Let me see what the chat is saying on this one. Do you agree with that? Abi, you're like, nah. You should tell us a little bit more. Let me see. Your Google of kids, school bus full of them. Your goggle of kids, school bus full of them. He said the only thing he cares about is his kids, right? Do you think that's why he cares? Because it's the only kids, right? But what do you think about that? Abby says, but he came out to tell us to begin with. That's a good question. But I'm going to give him a pass on that because we've all messed up before. The only thing I disagree with is shout out to Uncle Beno when you come and say, oh, man should speak as no, as a mistake, yeah. As a moment of weakness, yes, I can acknowledge it. We've all been there where we misbehave out of pure emotions. Maybe we got upset. We didn't have anybody to hold me back, right? And then you say what you're not supposed to say in the heat of the moment emotionally, right? I can acknowledge that can happen. But, life is not about things not happening. It's about what do you do with crises when they happen, right? Life, like anybody who is in pursuit of, there will never be crisis, will always fail. It's a loser's battle, okay? But knowing that there are going to be crises, but preparing yourself to handle crisis and learn from every opportunity you get to handle crisis is going to be the key that you need to learn from winners. So I'll give him a pass on that, especially now with his conduct in this interview. I'll give him a pass on it. Nonetheless, we can say, hey, don't jump out here and start dragging your family, because guess who you'll be dragging? If you try to drag your ex-wife, you'll be dragging your children. So this is another highlight of that, and he's acknowledging that in this. He's acknowledged actually a couple of times in the interview that his children's going to come up a couple more times. He also adjusted the context later on in this interview somewhere where he said no, that was a different context. He's just saying with respect to the public. That's what it was saying. All right, now let's move on to this segment. I'll come to the chat in a second here. Let's listen to this.
Yeah.
And how I'm feeling. Like I said earlier, man, amazing people.
Yeah.
You know, mother of my children, amazing people. My Annie, amazing. You know, and who I'm with now is also amazing. You understand what I'm saying? And everybody get their own strong characters and their strengths and their
True.
and their beauty and all, you know. So for me, that's how I see life. And now people now create those unnecessary.
All right, so up to that point is correct. Everybody have their strength and weaknesses. He's not saying nobody was guilty. He's not saying it's not guilty. It's said, hey, differences, people have to move on. Sometimes people outgrow each other. And people, everybody, he said, amazing people. Mentioned Annie's name. Kudos to him for that. Very, very important, right? And then he said, you know what? But he now said, nah, people didn't do anything. If you chose to become a famous person, if you chose to be a father in a household, if you chose to be a leader in a household, if you chose to be an adult, as a matter of fact, right? There's going to be some responsibilities that come with that position. To whom much is given, much is required. If you're a famous person, right? Especially if you're not a child star or something like that, you can't say the people. The people is not your mate. Monitoring spirit is not your mate. The reason why I feel the need to correct is because it's a mindset. That mindset is a pitfall for anybody who is in a position of leadership. Anytime you're in a position of leadership, and let me see here, what's late? Oh yeah, we got a 50-50 on that one. Okay, all right, good. Being fair or not. Anyway, anytime you find yourself in a position of leadership, it comes with responsibility. You don't get to turn around and say, oh, well, there's responsibility for the follower too. No. There's a responsibility for you, at least primarily, to lead. And to lead means it is going to, particularly when it's difficult to lead. You know, oh, allow me to lead. She did not allow me to lead in the relationship. Sorry. That sounds weak as hell. Okay? And it is no wonder why you can't lead. Because your leadership skill is more needed when it's actually difficult, not when somebody makes it easy for you. If they make it easy, it's usually because they're yielding to your leadership skills, the other way around. Now they see that this one is a leader. I have no choice but to respect, trust, and submit to this leadership. That's what leadership is. Okay? Can people be unruly and be disrespectful regardless? Yes. Yes. The answer is yes to that one as well. However, it's more likely that's not your wife or the person you're leading. Okay? Because again, if you have a tendency to cry about how the followers are not doing the right thing, you are probably a terrible leader. I'll say keyword probably. Okay? Because again, there's exception. Okay? But a lot of people that complain about this is all they complain about. They're complaining about somebody not allowing them to lead. So at that point where you got to, but the people, nah, bro, you're not going to get away with that so easily. All right. Now to your favorite part, the part that you've been waiting for. This is the part you've been waiting for. Let's get into it. Let's have it. Let's go back a little bit.
A couple of places before, I got into trouble for it, but I didn't care about, that.
Fuck it, say it.
Man.
Mm-hmm.
Man, no fit. I don't know. I know fit, but I will talk for my own self. I don't go talk about.
But you said man, confusion. English is one of our problems, by the way.
But man, not they built to just sexually
deal with one woman. A man is not built to be
heart and love. If you give calm down. Heart, love, respect, and say, oh, this person is my person. But sexually, it's impossible for man.
So what you're trying to say is that a man cannot be with one woman sexually.
Yes.
Jesus said a man cannot be
So
with
hold on, Mama, hold on.
Completely like.
If you love woman, hold on. I'm gonna ask you a question. So which means you're with my guy, Tasha. So which means you can fuck another person apart from Tasha.
Igario.
I don't tell you what I talk.
I'm just saying.
I don't tell you what I talk. I will try my best. I will try my best.
I don't tell you with your
I
talk.
will try my best to answer you.
Okay.
I don't talk with your talk.
Say
Any other
man
one
feel
you
love
look for
woman
now?
die.
My trouble you just look for.
Your trouble are different.
Exactly.
A guy, I know we find your trouble.
No, you don't
No,
answer am now. He
don't
say
look for
man
trouble.
feel love woman die, but sexually.
Uh-huh.
What again you want me to tell you now?
Which means you can respect the woman and give her everything.
Individual fit decide not
Thank you, Marriott. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Translate
I dey tell you, say
some
the biology
sentences
of
you are
man.
saying in
I tell you
Nigerian,
the
and I'm
biology
getting
of man. I
confused.
know they see this thing I'm saying to you is
I will explain.
Please.
now
calm
biology of man.
It's a biology, it's a
Yeah.
natural thing.
Yeah.
Biology of man.
And anybody will want follow.
It's
me,
a natural nature. Confusion.
If you have something
So you
to say,
think,
in essence,
hold on. Are you trying to say that a man cannot be with one woman sexually?
No. Go try to tell you, see, man feel love woman, die. Everything that this woman.
Everything.
But when it comes to that sexual
satisfaction.
it's
difficult.
Now biology of man.
Oh,
The seed too plenty. You don't fit drop off on anyone.
What of pastors?
It's too plenty.
Eh?
The seeds we carry.
See, don't make me don't dey talking.
they never catch them. Pastors, they never catch them.
But I want to believe that you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
It is what has gotten so many people in trouble. It's a simple fact. You need to accept that.
Is that what got people in
Understand what I'm
trouble?
saying? Because so many
Interesting
unnecessary stress,
point of view.
unnecessary stuff will be avoided if we
The expectation
understand
is
the
switched.
simple fact.
What is the simple fact?
And if you
I
said
think
it's simple,
a
it's
cappella needs to
unrealistic.
translate so I can understand that.
What
that
is-
trade
It's not
of the
realistic.
conversation.
What my
It's
guy is
not a
saying.
realistic
They
thing.
do it.
These things they cause unnecessary heartache left, right, and center. We just have to understand and accept this fact. I swear to God.
An interesting part in this is when he says this thing they cause unnecessary heartache. You know, in this scenario that he's painting, there's a lot of things at play here. There is a man who chose to spread his seeds. There is a man who chose to do it without being upfront. Like, this is me, this is what I'm going to do. There's also another man who tends to do it as this is me, this is who I am. There's also a woman who you already told that this is me, but they think they can change you. There's also a woman that you didn't tell, but she feels betrayed. That's about at least 50,000 factors I just said, right? And there's also discipline. There's also human weakness. There's also temptations. That's another additional 100,000 factors, right? But somehow he concludes to biology of man. Biology of man. Listen to me, okay? The mom of say Bible, man Bible, Abi. Biology of man is a day impossible. Impossible is an absolute, right? But then he turned around. This is part of our English problem on these internet conversations. Then he turned around and said, me, oh. So that got confusing right there for people like me. But I'm learning. I did learn. My English did too much sometimes. So I'm learning to say, okay, they just generalizing. They don't mean personal. Okay, they mean confusion. They mean somewhere in between. I mean me, but at the same time, I mean everybody. But no, maybe 90% or 80%. At one point, I started saying, if they say 80%, they're generalizing. Okay, they said 82.9% of men, right? So which one out of all these 1 million variables right now are we going to choose? Because he chose one at some point. Because when he says biologically too, I have a feeling he's talking about not necessarily biology, maybe physics. Because the seeds, he said the seeds is too much. So he's talking the volume of seeds that men will produce on a day-to-day basis. It's just too much. There's more than enough to go around, ladies. Why are you competing when there's more than enough to go around, right? Don't worry about the fact that I didn't tell you up front that you feel a sense of betrayal. Don't worry about that. Let's just pretend that's not a real thing. I beg, we're traditional people. Let's just work. There's so much here to go around. Why not just... Let's face, he calls it many times in this interview, he calls it, let's just be realistic. I'm a realistic man. Let's just be realistic, right? Man are more logical. Let's just call it what it is. Sorry, hold on one second. I think I'm with him so far. I'm not sure. Hold on one second. You see his hand? He's still trying to tell us something. Let's see. He's going to tell us more.
the world would be a very easier place to exist.
Okay, few I will explain. So, in essence, put in simple English,
It's simple
a man
English.
can love a woman, can be loyal to
A
a
cappella
woman,
say in simple
but
English.
may need to satisfy other women sexually.
He has
Except-
nothing to do.
He has nothing to do with whether he loves her or not. I need you to calm down. I don't know if
They're telling the young lady, I need you to. She's trying to understand. He's trying to understand. Okay, she said, I need you to calm down. You know, South African ladies have heard that they rate Nigerian men at the very top. We're the prize. Don't get it twisted. We're the prize. So she's trying to understand how to satisfy, while Nigerian women are busy trying to tell us how we're wrong. Let me see. Let me come to the chat. I bet the sign language in the chat is through the roof right now. Hold on 1 second. Why was he shaking though? That's another conversation. MOP, thread softly, yo, before you collect. God have mercy. Already.
Sorry.
Atigbefale. Any suru. Ola, so since there are multiple seeds, it needs to be spread all over the place and destroy your legacy. You don't get sense, two-face. Wait, now we're getting somewhere. You have to let us land. Yes, the Toby, he won't. He's a born Aja. Jesus. So we just go and run man anytime we have a sexual itch. Are we freaking animals? Higher animals. We have cognitive abilities. Let's see. Let me see if I missed anything so far. Bible and biology. Yeah. Same in one. Yeah. Somebody say a big fool. I'm looking for it. Somebody say a big fool. At 50. Oreo Brelo Marcusi. He said he's changed, by the way. You need to watch the whole podcast, though. He said they are talking about him in the past. He's just telling us the reality of things. In the same breath, he's telling us that was the past. Okay, wait. We'll get to that one later. Men who do not want to be wholesome can continue with that mindset and create multiple broken homes. So that's bullshit. Let's hear him out. He's still talking. Nisuru. Kemi said if he's admitting he can't have sex with just one woman, his newlywed Natasha go collect. You know, she knows upfront. She knows upfront. You know, once you know, the truth they say shall set you free, right? That's what he's trying to tell us. Anyway, let me. A leopard know the change is spot. When he and Natasha explode, he might. Okay, all right. You guys drink water. Let me see what our poll says. 92% says false. They don't give me demographic here on who is saying false. Is it women or men saying false? There's an 8% that says true. 8% says true. Let me look at my kidney real quick. Let's look at our numbers here real quick. I'm gonna share it. I'll share. I don't mind sharing it. Let's go under my audience. Let's go into let's go 90 days. Right? 90 days audience. Let's see. Is it mostly men, female here? Let's see. Male 55.9%, female 44.1%. Ladies, you need to be sharing. Men are here. They're just behind the scenes. You see, real life. I'm showing you the data, real life. Anyway, so men are here, but somehow this vote is saying 92%, and I suspect that it's women doing that voting there. You guys want to know my answer? I think I'm going to have to invite Itom to give us the answer. Itom is going to help us. Itom, Ife's husband, will be the one to help us with that, with the actual answer to this question. If it's impossible. Now, women, MOP, I think so. Because most of the men are listening behind the scenes, they're not active in the chat and stuff. So, but I think it's women that's doing that 92% vote. 92% false. They don't think a man is a... Now, for me personally, let me declare right now where I stand. Okay, the statement is false. Okay, the statement is false. Okay, I know you guys are waiting for that. A man is not built to be sexual with one woman. That is false. And if there's any truth to it, women also we have to be included in that statement. Okay, maybe it takes more than just our sexuality to be monogamous. Maybe it takes a little bit more than that. But Two-Face is trying to teach us another level of philosophy that certain types of special people. You know how people say, don't blame pastors. People with carnal mind cannot understand this kind of things. Exactly. You know that, we live in different realities sometimes. So I can respect it. Let me see if they say anything extra here.
And I think that you're pumping.
No, for real.
Can I ask this question?
Yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
in essence, your husband can.
Let's see the question
I don't
she
have a
had to
problem
ask.
with him satisfying other women.
Okay.
I want to say this. In this day and age, now I'm going to get very social and political and economically.
You feel free.
We have diseases out there in the
Yeah,
world that have
good.
killed
Yeah,
women.
facts.
Oh,
We
are you
have-
saying those
we
diseases came
have-
recently or it's been there?
We have these men, right, that go out there and leave children all over this world that are not being
Facts.
taken care of.
Facts.
Right? So, how are we condoning such behavior that comes from a man being allowed to go and satisfy women everywhere
Well,
when they are living
see,
heartache
see,
and
see,
diseases?
if you drive car, and you need to put your seatbelt on, right?
If you're driving
So
a car.
what I'm
But you
saying,
guys
Very intelligent man.
what exactly? What I'm saying has no. You
See
have to be
intelligence.
responsible. You have to be responsible.
Intelligence, Yakpa. Intelligence now water.
What I'm saying does not mean you don't have to be responsible.
So if as
Of course,
a woman,
that makes
so are
sense
you
now.
then
That
saying-
makes
and
logical
now
sense.
You are responsible.
Just be responsible.
So if I, as a woman, also because it's not written anywhere scientifically that a man should. It's there's narrative.
No,
that
forget
we
science.
as men, right?
Philosophy.
If
There was
I,
no hospital with a
if I, as a woman today, also feel like I also want to be sexually satisfied by different men, are you going to agree to that?
You can't do that. Are you
It's
doing
left-
that?
According to
It's left to you. That is a smart answer.
According
Do
to
you?
research-
Do you, boo?
I like that you said there is
According
no
to
law.
which
I like
research?
that you said there is no law.
Yes.
So it's up to you.
It's up to you.
Thank you. Then
You have
it's
to be
equal. If
responsible.
your woman then goes
That's a wise answer, actually. That's a wise answer. I think a lot of time the English language is not our mother tongue. No be anybody's language, first of all. Okay? So there will be disconnect here and there. That's goes when we're having this thing. I've learned to just calm down. Okay? It's not the same English I'm speaking that the other person is speaking. Just chill. Okay? I've learned if I'm going to engage this conversation, I have to chill. Listen properly, listen, active listening, ask clarity, ask questions, clarity. He let me. So when he say no, do you boo? He's telling you who he is. He's telling you who he is. I always say women don't lie, men don't listen. It's just a saying. I'm just saying you that you're trying to understand someone. You generally, for the most part, you don't listen. The other person is not lying. You just have to listen long enough. They're telling you who they are, but they might not be able to tell you in one sentence correct grammar. You have to listen long enough. Ask clarity. Now, patience to be listening long enough can be hard. It's difficult, especially if you're speaking different languages. When I say different languages, I mean it at every level. Sometimes you're speaking correct English, the other person is speaking super correct English. So sometimes you're speaking Egun, the other person is speaking Yoruba. Sometimes you're speaking Igbo, the other person is speaking Ishekiri. When there's a disconnect, right, which there's always some kind of disconnect, because the other person is expressing something that's obviously triggering you. Instead of you overreacting, chill, relax. Ask them for clarity so you can understand. What are you looking for understanding for? So you can know if you want to do or you don't want to do. Because everybody have the right to do what they want to do. The only thing they don't have the right to do is betray you. But once they do that, you also have the right to respond accordingly. Like, hopefully you have enough self-security, self-esteem to not stay in a situation that you deem harmful, right? So can I judge Two-Face? No, he's telling us who he is in real time. The question is, can you listen to him long enough to understand where he's coming from? Abi, you're just going to overreact.
And then it's all
He wasn't trying to say men are not sexual. He's trying to tell you that's just the belief I chose. He's not trying to tell you that you must adopt that belief. He's trying to say that's what I believe. Take it or leave it.
always good, and
And
it's
you
always
go and
good to
sleep
be
around.
upfront.
Upfront.
So the best thing to do for everybody is to be upfront.
To be upfront. Now, how realistic is that to be upfront in the world where we are packaging, where I also teach you social intelligence to make sure that you're aware that there's presentation in all of this. You have to present a certain way. There's a person that's lame on the other side say, no, but you lied to me. No, I made a presentation. I put my best foot forward and my worst foot is all the way behind. Right? No, but you lied to me. Okay. Where do we find this balance here? Presentation, I be lie. Which one is lie? I ought to be upfront. Was he 10 years ago? Was he upfront with her, or was he? This is better. Was he capable of being upfront, or he was just hoping like this girl? You get it now. Don't impregnate person. I left the house. Before I came back, somebody else was pregnant. At this point, you should understand me now. Should I use my mouth? Say bugwenu la fin sọ̀rọ̀ ni. Say bugwenu la ma fi sọ̀rọ̀ ni. You should understand by now. Listen, you see, I'm not saying much. I'm not saying much, but a lot. I hope you're paying attention.
That's what you want to do.
I love that.
Toxic.
I love
That's
that.
why I be.
I love that.
You know what she said? She said, I love that. Everybody wants the truth. As long as she tell me the truth, I can always respect it until you're on the receiving end of that truth. You remember that truth is bitter, is brutal. When you're on the receiving end of the truth, are you able to handle it? So am I blaming the victim? No, you figure that out, because I'm not blaming, at least not intentionally. I shouldn't blame the victim, right? I'm just letting you know that, you know, when you say, I like the truth, I like it when you tell people the truth. Make sure you keep that same energy when they tell you the truth of your stinking breath. Keep the same energy. There's a lot going on here. Are you guys paying attention?
All I just wanted to say is, let it not be a man only.
No, only one day with.
Yes.
Stick to your word.
Let it not be a man only. Allow women, and don't call them with the B words and the whatever.
And if we do this,
they decide the
if we do
same.
this, we'll have a whole lot of peace in this world.
Do you not think that, because there's a joke that going viral recently, they'll say fathers used to have 3 kids, but these days kids have 3 fathers.
Yes.
Right? Because I think that
Wait.
It's okay.
like fathers used to have 3 kids.
It's okay.
You're coming from
Yes,
with that,
but right now kids have 3
You
fathers.
shock him.
Because I think it's that time we come to the realization that women sleep around as much as men do, but
Okay, so this guy is very wise. He's pushing against Two-Face right now, but in a way that he can handle it. He might even go way over his head, but it's okay. But you guys listen to a cappella what he's saying right now. That joke he just cracked is trying to bring him back to reality, right? That if you're talking about polygamy as a nature of a gender, both gender are capable of moving mad. Now, if you want to talk about our social construct, which one tend to do it more than the other, then we can get into some kind of debate. In terms of by nature, the statement is false. Dead on arrival. Dead on arrival. The problem comes when people start mixing it by nature or social construct, be in our culture, be when you don't want to acknowledge the betrayal part of that conversation, which is somebody felt betrayed. Are you capable of being upfront in the beginning? Are you being upfront in the beginning? Did you even know that you will get to a point where you will experience a temptation that can take you off your feet? Did you think you were that strong? Were you the kind of person doing holier than thou until you find yourself inside or on top of somebody's bola? There are people like that. There are stories like that. They say by mistake. Are you saying it can happen by mistake? Tom is going to answer that for us in a second.
they still want to paint themselves as the
Hold on. Let's move on to this. I think this will be the last segment for Two-Face. Let's see. Wait.
But man, naturally.
But back to your
like you said,
to your marriage.
Back to your marriage.
What is the one thing that you would want to say to her in terms of your marriage? Any flaws that maybe you today want to admit
what
and
did you
say?
do wrong with Annie?
What did you do wrong?
What
with
did you
Annie?
think you did wrong with
And
Annie?
what did you also do
Wow.
right? Let's also
I
paint
think
the good things that happened.
both of us, you know, we gave it our best. You understand what I'm saying? We gave it our best. And why we're not together today? It's not.
Shout out to 234 Manzi.
It's not something I'm gonna start
talking about
talking
here in the
about here.
public.
Me and her, we get our
Zanzi,
she's
Jarim
amazing,
Zanzi,
like I
Zanzi,
said.
not
And,
Manzi.
it just wasn't working no more. That's just the
All right, so that right there will be yes, tap. but I didn't really expect him to answer.
Stop the cap.
I didn't expect him to answer the question. Also, it is true that both people are probably wrong at one time or the other, depending on what we're talking about. 11 years again is a significant segment of any human life. So I can understand that he's being gracious. He's being graceful the way he's answering those questions. Chinye says the Bible said, "Flee, none of us are strong." This conversation, this infidelity conversation thing, I think Tom is going to teach us a lot today. Tom, if he's going to teach us a lot about it. If you want to follow Two Faces philosophy, I would say Two-Face and Annie, they were some of my favorite couple, actually, funny enough. I just deflected. If you want to follow Two-Face's ideology, if you have to follow Two-Face's ideology here, chances are you are a betrayer. Chances are you're not that man. Chances are you are a Ola Tux who want to flip bad behavior into polygamy. It's not going to work. And if you want to do polygamy, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. I'm talking about as a marriage. Okay. If you want to do, if you want to cheat on other people, in other words, you do things behind them that you wouldn't want them to see. It's not only sexual. You things behind them you wouldn't want them to see. You're a cheater, no matter how small it is. May God forgive you, but you cannot tell people how to respond to betrayal. And it's the one major thing that they have the right to dump you for. Betrayal. Okay? If he was upfront, Annie wouldn't have stayed and married him. I definitely would not marry such man. Most people will not marry a person that you're being upfront. Most people in the dispensation that we're in right now, it is monogamy is the thing for both men and women. Okay? I don't necessarily think that everybody knows how to handle when temptations comes in, or there's a breakdown in communication, in-depth, very deeply rooted breakdown that makes people start to look outside, or they start to entertain attention in the wrong places. Human beings are emotional. I don't think we've necessarily had the conversation to mitigate the risk of that. So when it happens, you see men try to flip it into polygamy as a nature, when in fact, that motherfucker is a monogamist, a chronic one who couldn't tell who couldn't have 2-3 girlfriends at the same time. Suddenly he wants to have 3 wives. So a lot of people are capping big time. Two-Face is a monogamist. It doesn't mean he's a monogamist by practice. It doesn't mean he doesn't sleep with multiple people, but he's not a polygamist. He's not a person that wants to practice multiple wives. He's a guy who wants to be emotionally safe with one woman. He would like the idea of being able to have sex with other people. That would be called, if you were being upfront, that would be called an open marriage. That would be called something else. But it's definitely not polygamy the way we know it, traditionally speaking. There's a lot of discombobulation in this thing here. The part that needs to be highlighted in that conversation is the sense of betrayal, the sense of a person who have the wrong expectation when they came into this relationship with you years back. The fact that that person, by the time that they found out that they couldn't handle that, it's a bit too late. And it's a very complicated thing, right? And the fact that you will come back home and you will lie and say, no, I wasn't with the girl. And she started to feel crazy because she actually has all types of evidence. She's been tracking your ass and she knows where you were. The fact that you didn't have the full chest, your full masculine chest to say this is what I was doing. You see, there's all kind of problems everywhere. And this conversation is not as simple as, oh, men are just biological. No. That's a big cap. You're capping big time. And
Let the poor
breathe. Hit the like button. Let me come and shout out to Two-Face. Two-Face is one of our legends. But he go explain tired on this one. You go explain. You go explain because no evidence. Let me cover a few chats here. Shout out to Oni Bay in the chat. Mario the sign were there, but she married. Yeah, signs. Yeah. Again, ambiguity. You know, unfortunately, signs are signs. Signs are signs. But I think those are actually the least part of the conversation. I think majority of these cases that are hurtful is when you least expect it coming. Yeah, that's another conversation for another day. He's just a hoe, a slut. He's not looking for multiple wives. There you go. I didn't say that, but you get the point I was making. There's a difference between a person who just wants to sleep around and a polygamist in practice. Okay. And then bench other women are Satan too, Baba. Hey, women like Annie are often delusional about how much they can bear while blinded by love. Yeah. It's a very complicated thing. All right. If it seems so simple for you, that's very, very possible. But you probably have your own area of life where it is not always straightforward. So I want to give her that, hopefully she's hired a coach to know what she's doing. They asked two Baba somewhere, say, don't you think you might need some help or anything? And they say, oh, I'm a realistic person. I'm like, huh? Voila.
You will end up in McDonald's.
All right, shout out to two Baba. Let's leave him alone. But Tom and Ife, they're going to help us, okay? Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. And I will be right back.
It's your love that I've been missing. I miss all your hugs, your touching and kissing. Make love on the floor, the couch in the kitchen. One love enough, we done enough.